Hello, I'm Clark Saunders. Along with composer Craig Castles, I write the words for the songs of Castles and Saunders. Today I want to talk about songs about light. It's true that Christianity is not the only religion that finds symbolic meaning in light, but it is certainly true that the Bible speaks often of light as a divine attribute, and one that is frequently contrasted with darkness. In the New Testament, Johannine literature, that's the Gospel and letters of John, makes conspicuous use of this imagery. In the first letter of John, chapter 1, verse 5, the writer could hardly speak more plainly when he says that God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. In our songs, Craig and I have taken a few excursions into the idea of light as an image of the holy. An obvious example is My Night Light. From a fixture that children will be familiar with, the night light that provides comfort when otherwise all would be dark, we move on to the notion that God can act as a kind of night light in the darker times of our lives. The song was inspired by familiar lines in Psalm 139, verses 11 and 12, where the writer has been making the point that there is nowhere that God is not. He cannot hide from God even in the darkness, because to God the night is as bright as the day. I think you'll find direct references to that idea in the second refrain. The song begins with the singers showing a bit of bravado and false confidence. I'm not afraid of the dark, not me, before admitting the fearful truth. All this sets the song up for the comfort that is needed in the literal and figurative dark nights of a child's or an adult's life.
I'm not afraid of the dark, not me. I'm not afraid of the dark, you'll see. Well, maybe just a teeny bit, a teeny tiny weeny bit. I guess I have to admit, that's when I like to have a night light near me. It's good to have a night light. I know it isn't very bright, but still it keeps me sleeping tight in the darkness of the night. Life often looks kind of dark, they say. Skies often change from blue to gray. I don't like it one little bit, one teeny tiny little bit. But then I have to admit, that's when I like to have a night light near me. And God will be my night light, and God can make my darkness bright. So now I'm feeling quite alright in the darkness of the night. And God will be our night light, and God can make the darkness bright, and we'll be feeling quite alright in the darkness of the night. In the darkness of the night.
The symbolism used in that song is fairly simple and straightforward, but light can have a number of symbolic applications. There are different kinds of light, after all, and those different kinds of light can serve different purposes. The soft, yellowish light that you may have in your living room can help it to feel cozy, for example. While in the laundry room, a bright or even harsh light, a fluorescent light perhaps, will help you to see clearly when there is a job to be done. In the song, The Light of God, we develop some of those meanings. In the first verse, we speak of the light of God as something warm that attracts and comforts. In verse 2, it is an uncompromising light that exposes the truths, even unattractive ones, that try to hide in darkened corners. The third verse provides some thoughts about the familiar idea of light providing guidance in uncertain times. And the last verse offers the promise that the light of God will endure. I think children as well as adults can relate to all these ways in which we can experience light. For this song, Craig has provided a rather slow, ethereal, contemplative tune that allows time to absorb these shifting thoughts. Moving gently back and forth between 4/4 and 6/4 time, what might otherwise seem a daunting musical challenge feels natural and effortless.
The light of God is warm, drawing us toward its glowing, giving comfort through our knowing. God is in the glow. The light of God is clear, shining in forbidden places, laying bare the hidden traces. God the truth will show. The light of God is bright, guiding through the deepest valleys, through the streets and darkest alleys. God will know the way. The light of God shines on, here through all of our tomorrows, in our joys and in our sorrows. God is here to stay.
But it isn't just God who is symbolized by light in the Bible. Not surprisingly, it is the Gospel of John that applies the term to Jesus. In the prologue to his Gospel, John speaks of Jesus as the true light which enlightens every person. Later, in John 8, verse 12, Jesus calls himself the light of the world and says that whoever follows him will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. We paraphrase that verse of Scripture in the first verse of the song, The Light of the World. But for the second verse, we turn to Matthew chapter 5, verse 14, near the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus says to his followers, "You are the light of the world." This is the famous passage where Jesus goes on to counsel his followers not to hide their light under a bushel. And verse 2 of the song echoes elements of this passage.
I am the light of the world, said Jesus. I am the light of the world, said Jesus. If you want to walk in the light, then follow me. You will never walk in darkness, but you will have the light to lead you. You will have the light to guide you. are the light of the world, said Jesus. You are the light of the world, said Jesus. So spread your light far and wide for all to see. Don't hide it, just keep it shining, so that wherever you are going, people turn toward its glowing and give to God the glory every day. Glory, glory, and give to God the glory every day. Glory, glory, and give to God the glory every day. And give to God the glory every day.
God, Jesus, Jesus followers. The symbolism of light can be applied to all these. Sometimes the imagery is simple and straightforward. Sometimes it is more complex. Light remains a rich source of ideas that can be expressed in words and music.